Thank you,
Thank
Hunter.
you. Thank you so much for having us. Yes, I'm Juliana G, here with Dario. So, just to get us kicked off, I am a team expansion specialist here at Nobo, aka fancy word for recruiter. Dario, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about your career journey. What got you on over to Nobo?
Sure. Thank you, G. Hi, I'm Dario Tedesco, or Dario in Spanish. I was already working Latam for about 12 years, and I was looking for a change in company culture. Actually wanted to work for a company that appreciated me and celebrated me and my wins. So I was living in Colombia in South America at the time. I moved back to the U.S. and I literally started looking for best companies to work for in Tampa. And that's how I found out about No before. They didn't have a Latam position open at the time. I major in international relations, so I always wanted to travel. That's what I was doing at the time as well. Travel throughout Latin America. I was in the software space as well. So I found about No before, which was a great product, a great service, and I was very passionate, about the mission that No before has, and the company that it actually is.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So, what do you do in your role? You're saying Latam. Kind of tell us a little bit about what's your role and that duty.
I'm a channel account manager, so I work with channel partners in Latin America. As we always say, from Tijuana down to Tierra del Fuego. So I work with strategic partners on building new business in the region. So anywhere in Mexico, the Caribbean, Central America, South America. At some point, I worked with Brazil as well. So we work with them. We work together on growing their business, their new business, and at the same time, we have other positions in our department, such as SDRs, regional account managers. That we all work together towards winning these opportunities and these deals in the region.
Okay, awesome. So you also get to work alongside other Latinos, and your whole team together working for one goal. How do you feel at Know Before that you're able to kind of be yourself? What does it mean to you to bring your authentic self to work?
Um, well, I would say a couple of ways. This role really feels that I can conduct myself and show my personality and relate and build rapport. I get the opportunity to also attend numerous events in Latin America, so I get to travel to different countries. I would say that 95% of my day is in Spanish, which is my first language, so that makes me feel super comfortable. I can express my best in Spanish. I really feel supported. That I can be my authentic self, like you asked. And we also have our employee resource group, which is Vamos. And you really feel like you're celebrated instead of questioned sometimes. It makes me feel like I'm a perfect fit for my role. So I really enjoy my position, my role here, and working for No before.
Awesome, awesome. I know Vamos is quite fun. One of the best DRGs, but that's just me being more biased. So tell me a little bit while you're at Noble 4, it seems like when you first started, you didn't have that Latam territory. So how do you think that Noble 4 has helped you kind of grow, not just personally, but also professionally?
Yeah, so when I started, I was working the domestic market, so US, right, territory. I think that No Before supported me because I felt very comfortable on sharing, my thoughts and the way that I was feeling at the time with my manager, saying that, I thought I could excel in a different department in Latin America, for example, doing what I had been doing for years. So I felt 100% comfortable on having that conversation. They actually helped me link with our um, a coach that we have here at Know Before, which is Career Dave. Everyone knows Career Dave. So he helped me build a better resume, prepare for interviews, and how to use all the tools and resources I had available to kind of have like a checklist to go through, every single item and make sure that I met every expectation. So I was able to, get promoted after a few months, after, 6 or 7 months, and I was able to transition over to the Latin America department.
Okay, lots of growth there, especially taking on Latam. So, what is your advice to other people on how to be their true selves at work, especially kind of going into a new job, a new market? What's your advice for those people?
I would say that you need to look for an organization that truly values their employees, that has a strong culture, and has different policies and procedures in place to have either an open door policy, or being able to share your thoughts, or being able to report things when they go wrong, and based on reviews. Especially the positive ones, right? When you want to celebrate someone or recognize or do a shout out or kudos to someone, make sure that they're listening, and that's all part of the culture as well. And again, when you feel appreciated, that's when you can perform better. You'll be able to be 100% or even more on your everyday tasks. We're all busy. We all have our personal, stuff going on, our personal life. But when you feel again comfortable, appreciated, recognized, and celebrated, I mean, you can't compare that to anything else. So I would suggest to look for those different, qualities on a company, and through reviews. I know there's different platforms out there that you can actually hear their thoughts, like true reviews from employees, past employees, or actual present employees. I know that we have great benefits as well here at Know Before that made me feel very happy to have the opportunity, and very thankful as well. Different perks and benefits that allow you to be comfortable to plan your personal life as well.
Awesome, awesome. It seems like Know Before has definitely helped you kind of not just express yourself, but be with a community of other people who kind of come together and are able to be themselves and be their authentic, true selves at work, which I feel like sometimes is hard these days to really find somewhere that truly upholds what that standard looks like. So,
Definitely, yeah.
awesome. Well, those are all the questions that I have for you, Dario. I guess we'll open it up here for any questions. We've got a question. A lot of us, especially in professional spaces, feel the need to modify ourselves to assimilate in the corporate culture that is prominent. I feel like a lot of us are unable to embrace our true and authentic self. How do you think that impacts what we represent, and does it hold us back? Dario, do you want to tackle that one?
Sure. I was reading it again. I
Oh,
try
okay,
to get the
sorry.
question. So, how do you think this impacts what we represent, and does it hold us back? Yeah, I think it definitely, holds you back if you can't, if you have to modify yourself, or try to be someone you're not. I think that sometimes when people, it might sound, corny or anything, like when they say try to be yourself, and stuff like that. there's different situations or scenarios or positions, right, jobs in the professional space where you can't really be yourself. So I think it definitely holds you back if you can't be your authentic self. That's why it's so important. Like your last question, G, when you said, "What do you suggest?" To really find that type of organization, the company where you feel appreciated and you don't have to be, or pretend to be someone else.
100%. I'm going to just piggyback off there what Dario said. I think a lot of it is kind of breaking down any walls or barriers that you think might be there in terms of not being able to be yourself and just taking that step towards being courageous and showing who you truly are. Because what kind of shocked me when I came into Nobo before, I started off as fresh out of college, really nervous to get into corporate world. But my team kind of gave me that, push into, hey, be yourself here. It's okay. Don't be afraid. But there are certain instances where it can hold you back because you might be a little bit worried about what other people think about. I know for me, loud Latina always comes out first of, am I going to be that stereotype? But really breaking that down and showing that you're still who you are. Another question we had, self-confidence and self-promotion are the pillars of success, especially for Latinx leaders. How can a company culture encourage those?
Okay. Well, I believe a company culture can encourage those by, for example, what we talked about earlier, which is our employee resource group, our ERG, like VAMOS, which is for Latin Americans, or anyone that feels related to the Latin American culture. It doesn't specifically mean that you had to be born in a Latin American country, or even if you speak Spanish or Portuguese. It's just that if you feel, somewhat related to the culture, you want to learn more, or you're just trying to practice another language, that's a great opportunity for everyone. And again, if you encourage that within your employees and within the company, it's going to make everyone feel more comfortable. Again, you're going to build different relationships with people that you have similar interests in. So definitely creating a group at the same time working in the social side of it too, helping your community, trying to do something positive for those with similarities, right, or similar interests, can really promote that.
100%. So another question we got was, unequal workplaces often take a toll on the mental health of people, especially those who are in the early career group. It can be so overwhelming. Any advice for them?
Yeah, I would advise, I would suggest that they reach out to whatever resource they can have, if they don't have any, to do some research and make sure that they can talk to the right people. No one should be, overwhelmed or, have all that stress of feeling that you're in an unequal workplace, or that someone's been disrespectful, or just by making little comments that are not appropriate or not professional. I think that you have to speak up for yourself, make sure that you can talk to someone that will listen to you first, will not judge, and will understand where you're coming from. And again, especially if you're planning on staying in that company. If not, definitely try to understand if that's the best option for you, or look at different alternatives.
Yeah, I think it is really hard, especially kind of coming early into your career, is understanding, what are the boundaries that you have for yourself and what are the boundaries that, others have for you. So kind of going around, if you have an unequal workspace, what does that open line of communication look like? And how can you make sure that you're being respected while being respectful to others at the same time? Really just having communication, I found, is the biggest thing to tackling anything in the workplace. Is being able to have that line of communication with anyone really can help alleviate any, tension or situations happening that can take a toll on you. Another question, how important is it to have a mentor? Do they necessarily have to be someone from the Latinx community?
I think it's very important to look up, right, to someone, or have a mentor or someone to that kind of gives you an example of what they did in their own life, right? It doesn't have to be by the book, every single thing the same way they did it. And it does not have to be Latino. I mean, it can be from any background, right? Or have multiple ones, not just one. Personally, that's what I've how I grew up, having different mentors, members of my family, people that I never met, could be famous, someone that's famous, or celebrity, or anything, or anyone. I would say that you admire, right, and you kind of want to follow their steps. Obviously, if you have something in common, it might be easier. That's why when you do have, if you're Latino and you do have a Latino mentor, sometimes you can relate to whatever they went through, if it's part of some sort of immigration process, moving to this country, or having your family split up, and different feelings that we all get, and we all have when you move to a different country. But yeah, multiple mentors, doesn't matter what their background is.
Yeah. Awesome. Another one we've got here, the complexity of identities in the Latinx community are often unacknowledged. How do you think the homogenization of our community impacts our representation?
Yeah, I know. I agree. I mean, it's very complex on different identities and how everyone identifies, themselves. And some people, especially living in the United States, are not aware of, the different ethnic backgrounds, race, religion, and so many different identities that we could have. You can be Latino and not speak Spanish, or you can be Latino or consider Latin American and be Brazilian, for example, and still have similarities with the Spanish or Hispanic community. I think that it's very important that we're confident, and that we can learn and share. And it also helps you to learn your background. For example, like if you, when someone asks you something that is not very common to them, or they never heard before about your country or your culture, it's a great opportunity to learn more, do some research, find out where your family comes from, or whatever country that you come from, and so that you can actually share, and then educate others as well. And I think it's very important that we do that, so that we are well represented, right, in our community as well. Me, personally, I'm actually from a very, very small country, which most people don't know, which is Uruguay. It's only about 3.5 million people in all Uruguay, and I always talk about my country, my heritage, and everything else. And it makes me happy to educate and share this info with everyone else.
Yeah, I really think that the education is the big importance of it, right? Because there has been such a homogenization of our cultures as a whole, right? Whether you're from Mexico, whether you're from Argentina or Uruguay, I feel like it has been a little bit of it has impacted our representation, because I feel like to the outsider, everyone's kind of grouped in, especially like I'm Brazilian. So it's like, oh, we're grouped in, but we're also not a part of the group. So there's a lot of different impacts that we have, with this. But it does come down to having that education and understanding of the differences that do unify us, but also make us unique. Let's see here. Since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic and the resulting recession, the challenges Latinx people face in the workplace have only increased. Can you shed some light on what these have been?
That's a difficult question. If you can help me answer it, G, or
Yeah, I'm trying to
while I
think, because I've only been at Nobo before, so I can only speak of my own, time here. I feel like, of course, I haven't seen it in our workplace, luckily, but I do know that with the candidates that I talk to, there have been some times where, whether it comes down to immigration, having that halt because of COVID, and then the recession, there's been a lot of layoffs. And a lot of times these people who are often in the groups of massive layoffs, a lot of them are people of color, Latinos. Oftentimes, what I'm finding in these conversations is that there have been, in the hiring practices by some companies, for example, they will look for people who are bilingual or trilingual, whether you speak Spanish or whether you speak Portuguese, and help that company grow. but they won't be compensated for it. So I know that one of the main ones that I've been coming across is that some Latinos feel like they're being not exploited necessarily is the right word, because I feel like that's a very strong word, but they have been, kind of targeted by certain companies after these layoffs, if they weren't laid off. Hey, we need your language skills, we need your people skills, or we need you to kind of assess and address the Latino market. Oh, but we're not going to pay you for it, or we're not going to give you as good of benefits, or it's just going to be part-time. And I feel like a lot of Latino communities and people in the Latino community are having some struggles to at least be, I guess, given equal opportunity. And especially when you're having a different language or you're having to use a special skill at work, that's what I've noticed in my conversations with candidates, that the Latino candidates have been having more issues, especially with immigration. I know it was a huge one while you're looking for a new job in the recession if you were laid off. So that is one of the things I know. I'm trying to think of another one. I'll think about that one and I'll come back. We got another question. Does KnowBe4 have any specific policies pertaining to the upliftment of diverse communities? Actually, we don't have specific policies, but we do have a lot of different employee relations groups that help uplift diverse communities. So like Dario was mentioning a little bit earlier, we have VAMOS, which is for Latinos, Latinx community, and any allies or people who are just interested in learning more about the culture. We also have Black Nosters Network, Women in Tech, Noster parents, we call us Nosters. We also have veterans, ERG, we have the LGBTQIA plus ERG. So in terms of like policies, we have a non-discrimination policy. So we are really big on having an open, diverse company as a whole. But then we also have these ERGs as places to uplift, and the ERGs do a lot of fun stuff. Like Dario, do you want to talk a little bit about what VAMOS does?
Sure, of course, yeah. So, like I mentioned earlier today, we try to support, the community, the Latino community. For example, we were able to sponsor a semi-professional soccer team with uniforms for this season. We are constantly doing our meetings, monthly meetings, just sharing thoughts, how everyone feels on their heritage, or either positive or negative experiences that we've all had, and we share them together. And we also have a lot of time for planning. For example, this month, since it's Hispanic Heritage Month, we had some food trucks come over near the office. We also had a dessert day. Everyone really enjoyed all the different desserts that we had. For example, this weekend there's something going on in our city of Clearwater near our office, which is a salsa dance night. So, we're constantly looking for different events, bringing all the Latinos and allies, like G said, together through either Zoom meetings, for, with virtual nosters, right, in different states, and then as well as in-person events.
Awesome. Yeah, we have lots of different fun things going on. Awesome. Last question here. If you could share an experience, Dario, I'm going to throw this at you first, to share an experience that inspired you to address these issues today at this platform.
Yeah, sure. So I think it was a great opportunity, and I'm very thankful for having this opportunity to talk today, and being here with G. I think that it goes back to one of the first questions that Juliana asked me, which was like, being myself, and not being self-conscious about different things that might hold you back. And this relates to a couple of the different questions we received. I would say that at some point, and mainly working in Spanish, which is my native language, for so many years, unless I have, I talk to someone that only speaks English, is when I practice my English, because ever since college it was only Spanish. So I was very self-conscious about either accent or mispronouncing a word, or it's not about not being able to speak it, right? But it made me very conscious and aware of other people that might not feel the same way, or I'm sorry, might feel the same way, and are not able to express their feelings or their thoughts just because of a language barrier, for example. So it kind of encouraged me to be here today, talk, give you my experience, my path. I was even able to practice and almost learn a third language, which is Portuguese, by the time I worked Brazil. So there's so many opportunities out there. Just again wanted to remind everyone to make sure that they work in a space where they feel comfortable, they feel appreciated, that they can actually look up different mentors, just going through all the different questions that we've had today. But you can really go through everything that kind of happens. Never feel like you're under appreciated or you're less because you're from a different background or you speak more than one language. Like I always say, that only makes you smarter. It gives you more knowledge, more experiences. So just my comments and my thoughts here. And again, wanted to thank everyone in the team for the opportunity, and thank you, Juliana, for being the moderator today.
Of course, of course. I know for me, when our coordinator on Know Before told us about this event, I was super excited because, my whole life as a half Brazilian, half American, born and raised in the States, but dual citizen, going to Brazil all the time, I kind of always had like this identity crisis, I will call, and kind of growing into fruition, becoming an adult, getting into the workforce. At Know Before specifically, when I started recruitment, they kind of gave me LATAM recruitment as my own little baby to run with. And so kind of having this opportunity to grow in my career and really help expand our Latin American territory at Know Before, bringing in new Latino talent, has just been so exciting to me. And being able to be on a platform like this to talk about, what it's like to be a Latino in the workplace is just very exciting to kind of give overall just conversation about what is really going on and how there are workplaces out there that do value you being unique, being different, and how you can use your skill sets, whether you speak Spanish or Portuguese or whether you don't, and whatever it is, there's still places that you can feel welcome and feel like yourself. And so I was super excited to talk today. Thank you so much to everyone for inviting us. Dario, thank you for letting me ask you a bunch of questions.
Of
And
course.
thank you everyone else for inviting us here today.